I know that you probably saw Kamala Harris. She said that she's advocating for some kind of law that would make any abortion legislation that the state tried to pass, it would have to go through the Department of Justice to see if it matched up with Roe v. Wade, which I believe is a violation of federalism. So it seems to me like they're the ones that actually want to impose their ideological views on everyone, no matter what state you live in, no matter what religion you have, no matter what your view is. It seems like they are the ones trying to impose their views on us, not the other way around. And I think a lot of people are confused about, how do we confront that?
Well, there's no question that's the case. I mean, take another example that's come up in the past several weeks. So the Trump administration put forward a regulation that redrew Obama-era regulations, and it said federal funding is now available to adoption agencies that prefer traditional couples over same-sex couples. Okay, this seems absolutely uncontroversial to me. They will fund adoption agencies that adopt out to same-sex couples, and they will fund adoption agencies that do not adopt out to same-sex couples, mainly Catholic adoption agencies. And the left went nuts. Their suggestion was that the federal government cannot fund in any way an adoption agency that prefers traditional couples, even though there are perfectly logical secular reasons why you might want to do that, namely that a child needs a mother and a father, and that women and men are different, and that mothers and fathers provide different things to children, as every social science study ever done suggests.
Yeah.
Right? There are plenty of reasons for that. The left said this is going to result in discrimination. How? We're not defunding any of the adoption agencies that allow same-sex adoptions. The answer, according to the left, was, well, because this regulation is now allowing traditional couples to adopt through these adoption agencies, because of that, what they are really doing is they are allowing these Catholic agencies to continue to discriminate. So the federal government has to force the Catholic agencies into the box that we want them to be in, or they have to shut down. And we would prefer that they shut down to children being adopted by traditional couples through a Catholic adoption agency. Okay, that is government compulsion. And the left wants that sort of government compulsion. My answer to that, what the left would say to this is, well, if they're discriminating, they shouldn't be funded by the federal government. And the answer to that is, again, you do not have control over freedom of association. Determining that you do not want to fund a group because they have a different take on who should associate from whom, that's a recipe for disaster, because how are you going to like it when the federal government is controlled by someone more conservative than President Trump on social issues, and they just decide to ban all federal funding for adoption agencies that adopt out to same-sex couples? Because they could easily do that too and then just ignore the Supreme Court, or maybe the Supreme Court is controlled by conservatives at that point. The question here, and it really has come up a lot right now, is what is the government there to do? And there are really three visions. One is the vision of the left, which is the government is there to cram down their social values on you and your church and your life and your children. And then there is the vision of sort of the libertarians, and I count myself in this group, and that is government is there to do none of these things. Government is there to stay out of your business, and you're there to build a social fabric in the absence of government, and culture precedes politics, and so the law is not going to protect you from the impositions of the left if the left takes over the government. And then there is the view of a lot of cultural conservatives who are saying, listen, there is no common space anymore. You libertarians, you're assuming that there's a common space, and that if we shut down government or make it smaller, that the left will then leave us alone with the means of government. No, we need to take over the means of government and use it for ourselves. I think that is an interesting debate, but I think that in the end, I don't know how you get to, in today's day and age, explaining to Americans that the government should be forcibly imposing itself in favor of conservative social issues when the government is currently, from Republicans and Democrats, cramming down social issues leftism on the American people. It seems to me a lot easier argument and a lot more logical argument, and one that I think is true to founding vision, to say, at least on the federal level, that the government does not have a role in all of this. Leave people alone.